Hello, Simon Foster here, Festival Director of the Science Fiction Film Festival 2023. We are very excited to be holding the world premiere of Salvation, a terrific short film by Brisbane-based filmmaker Kitty Moroney, who joins us here on the screen on the Science Fiction Film Festival channel. Welcome, Kitty. So lovely to talk to you.
Oh, thanks, Simon. Lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Give us a little bit of a Salvation 101 in 25 words or less, no spoilers. Yep. What can audiences expect?
Yeah, so Salvation is set 900 years in the future, and it essentially follows Angel, a journalist who breaks into a space station after receiving a very suspicious video message from her twin sister, supposedly from Second Earth.
Wow.
But we'll see about that, won't we?
It sounds very cool. I got to say, I love the film the moment I saw it. It's such a polished production. There's influences in there. What are some of the works, be it films or books or art or whatever? What were the sort of speculative fiction works that inspire you?
Yeah, so I kind of at a young age really got into the dystopian, utopian kind of sci-fi subgenre. So with Salvation, it takes a lot of inspiration from movies like kind of Soylent Green and Logan's Run, and Gattaca is a big one as well.
Oh, wow.
Where we look at like the idea of, in the future coming up with these sustainable ways to essentially keep humanity thriving. But at the core of them, what are we actually giving up there? Because, you look at a movie like Soylent Green and it's like, cool, everyone's being fed. What are they eating? And it's just like looking at the kind of barbaric core of human behavior and how that can influence what we decide as being, humanitarian. So that's kind of where Salvation came from. And then in terms of the actual style, we had an amazing art department that went with retrofuturism. So we essentially recycled trends from the 60s and 70s, but kind of put our own spin on it to create the look that we get with Salvation. So yeah, those are kind of the main inspirations behind it.
That's exactly what I reacted to initially, was the beautiful look of the film. I picked up on the retrofuturism and those elements that were familiar, yet given this sort of futuristic spin, which I thought was really inspired. It's got a beautiful aesthetic to it. How did this all come together? How did the concepts and I guess the ideologies of Salvation really take shape? And I know you worked with your writer, Harry Gordon, I think is their name. Tell us about working with them and creating that space.
So we originally kind of came up with the idea at the end of our second year of university. And myself and Harry and a few others, Sophie, the producer, Cambridge, the editor, we'd all kind of formed a little creative group, and we wanted to make a sci-fi. And so we were throwing around ideas, and actually the original idea of Salvation was a lot different to where it is now. It was a lot more dark, and it was kind of set more in present day and was a lot more neutral in comparison to the colorfulness of Salvation as it is now. So we were kind of throwing around ideas, and then we pitched the concept, and we were offered the opportunity to film it in virtual production. And that was a huge game changer for us, because essentially, with virtual production, it felt a little bit pointless to try and just simulate real life or present day. So with that opportunity, we pretty much rewrote the script essentially and chucked it way in the future, 900 years, and just changed the visual style completely. So yeah, I think that opportunity was a big game changer for us in terms of the actual story and where we decided to take it. So yeah, it all started with just 4 uni friends, I guess. And then here we are now.
As so many great adventures do, I guess.
That's it.
You touched on the virtual production there, and that it provided inspiration, that sort of technology provided inspiration to spin the story off. what are the practicalities of it? And I don't mean to go into a big, long sort of course on how to use virtual production, but from the way you trained to film it and from your understanding of filming to then lean into this virtual realm, which is taking over filmmaking at the moment. Give the filmmakers who are listening to this some idea of what that means.
Yeah, so virtual production is essentially you've got a big LED screen. If you've seen shows like The Mandalorian and the new Lord of the Rings show, they're all filmed in virtual production. And you've got, essentially a big LED screen, and you can put whatever you want up there. And then you have the actors and parts of the physical set in front of the screens. So it's essentially kind of a more advanced screen, it feels. And with virtual production, you can also then add in things like metahumans and motion capture and CGI. So it's just kind of this awesome blending of everything, really. And in saying that, it is a bit more complicated than it sounds, I would say. I think that was virtual production was both an opportunity and a challenge. Because it is quite complicated, and it is complicated technology. It's video game software initially, so it's Unreal Engine, and then kind of combining that with film technology. It works, but it's a tricky one to actually kind of figure out. So yeah, we were just kind of figuring out as we go along, really, and that's all you can really do, I think, when it comes to virtual production, is just
when it comes to production. That's what filmmakers have been doing for 100 years, figuring it out as they go along.
That's it. Hey. So yeah, that's essentially virtual production in a nutshell. But yeah, it's pretty cool because you can basically,
What are your thoughts on? We did an online panel a few days ago as part of the festival about artificial intelligence, the use of that in all its definitions going forward. Do you see your future as a filmmaker as being sort of laptop bound and green screen bound and virtual production bound, or is there still an element in what you do that wants to see you work with actors and develop those on location skills? What are your views on your craft going forward?
Yeah, great question. Personally, I think I would love to still in the future work with actors and do some stuff on location. And I think virtual production is, I see AI as kind of been seen as a bit of a threat to the creative industries, right? And I think virtual production's a bit different in that it's not going to be a complete replacement. It's more so just enhancing what we can film. We obviously can't go and shoot in space, but with things like virtual production, we can do that a lot more effectively than what we used to do with just green screen, right? So I would personally still like to work with actors and work on set, on location. However, I am extremely intrigued by virtual production and, kind of AI and filmmaking. And I would love to, I guess, do a bit of both if that's possible. But at the end of the day, AI can't exactly thrive without the initial creative influence behind it, right? AI is just a library of stuff that we've already done, that we've already made as creative humans.
Yep.
So I'm not necessarily worried, but I think it'll be interesting at least to see what the kind of future holds for that. But I do think it'll still be a blend.
That was sort of the conclusion of the chat, spoiler alert, in case anyone wanted to watch the panel. But it's that AI is a tool, just as at one point paintbrushes were, and then still cameras, and then movie cameras, and that's how we adapt to the new tools and use them with some degree of ethical thinking as a backdrop to make it work. So yeah, great points you make. Was this your first production? This was your first gig or sort of short film narrative production?
It was my first time directing something of this scale.
Yep.
So I've been working on projects over the past few years. With studying a film degree at university was extremely handy for that, because it's just networking and you make friends and we all go off and shoot things together. And we still do that, which is awesome.
Yep.
But yeah, at the time of filming Salvation, that was definitely my first time directing something of this scale, which was extremely nerve-wracking, but also very exciting. So yeah.
I can imagine. Look, okay, I'm going to throw a question at you. First thing that comes into your mind, the very best day you had in the life cycle of your film was?
The day that we got the door working. We had to use, so
doors have been working for quite some time, Kitty.
Right. So context. We had a door in the film. I'm sure you'll see it.
Yes.
We had no choice essentially but to do a physical door because we wanted the actor walking through it, and that's a bit tricky with virtual production, it being an LED screen naturally. So just trying to make the physical door work with the virtual production screen, and we had crew on either side kind of trying to figure it out with a smoke machine going and lights, and it was all so much, and to eventually get it all working and all timed well was just a real treat. So the tiny 0.5-second clip you see there of the door was a real, yeah.
Set the production over budget and over schedule, didn't it?
Pretty much, yeah. So getting that working, that was the best moment, I'd say, for me.
Oh, what a great answer. That's really funny. Finally, having guided your film from start to completion, because you finished shooting, I think, nearly a year ago, didn't you? Or
that's right, yeah.
Wow.
It's been a while.
That's amazing. I was going to say, what advice would you give a young filmmaker? You are a young filmmaker, but what advice would you hand out to your peers about to embark on a similar journey? What's the big life lesson, the professional lesson you've taken from it?
I would say really just find a good group of people around you. You know, filmmaking, it is one of those things you can do on your own, and that's amazing. But you know, if you want to make movies, at the end of the day, it is very collaborative. So I'd say, yeah, find a cool group of people around you to work with, and keep writing, keep coming up with ideas. Honestly, just keep thinking of things, write things down, because like eventually at the end of the day, you kind of just, the best thing we can really do is just keep like being creative, and you know, like, how do I say this? It's like, sorry, I might start that one again.
No, that's okay. No, it's. But I understand what you mean. There's a creativity you have to keep exercising, like any muscle, I guess.
It's like, this is what I'm trying to say. It's so easy to get into like a creative block.
Yep.
And that's something that even as someone who is still at the beginning of their filmmaking journey, I've gone through. So yeah, just keep trying to write essentially, and keep trying to create, even if you don't have the resources to go off and shoot a big grand short film or whatever.
Yep.
Just keep doing what you can to kind of keep the creative juices flowing. That's what I was trying to say.
No, and beautifully said.
Blank.
And I'm not editing that out. I'm going to leave your blank stare in there for everyone to see. That's the creative process at work. So
that's it.
Salvation is having its world premiere this Saturday night, the 26th at 6:30. I'm doing this all from memory now, ahead of our Australian premiere of the Ben Kingsley film Jules, which is a terrific movie. You should go along and see that as well. Kitty, you'll be there for the world premiere, I hope, and as many of your cast and crew as you can muster as well. So congratulations on the film, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do in the future.
Oh, thanks, Simon. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity.